I would be probably engaged in a lawsuit today. But I also wanted to sit back and watch the suits and the legal actions of others who charged forward on a First Amendment case against the social media giants. All of them have failed. The vulnerability is in their violation of antitrust law. Their vulnerability is in their operation of monopolies. They're forming, in essence, trusts working in concert to limit certain voices. Additionally, I had paid Twitter a substantial amount of money in paid promotion of my tweets in order to build my following. When they decapitated me, they violated their contract with me. They're also, I think, vulnerable to certain contract laws, service contract laws. So I think it is vitally important that the President order his new Attorney General to enact antitrust action against the tech giants to end the censorship of conservative voices. I really believe that the future of his presidency, the success of his agenda, his prospects for re-election, and indeed his legacy as president is at stake. We must have unfettered, absolutely open access to the internet in which all voices are heard. I can tell you, as someone who has run local campaigns, that the internet has completely revolutionized our politics. It used to be that 15 or 20 years ago, when a prospective candidate came to me and said, well, I'd like to run for Congress in the Miami suburbs, or in the Dallas suburbs, or in the Los Angeles suburbs, or in the New York suburbs, I would say, well, that's between $4 and $5 million. Do you have that kind of money, or can you raise it, or do you have it personally? And of course, very few did. It meant that politics was open to those of enormous personal wealth, like Frank Lautenberg or Cole, or it was open to those who had connections to special interests and could raise those kinds of stakes. The internet changed all that. Through Facebook and their incredibly sophisticated geo-targeting, you had the ability to reach exactly the voters that your survey research, your polling, showed you wanted to reach in exactly the geographic area that comprised the district or state you were running in. This was an invaluable tool. It's such an invaluable tool that it was regularly denied to Republican congressional candidates in 2018, but it was extended to their Democratic opponents, I argued, in violation of the federal election law. Somebody should wake the people at the National Republican Congressional Committee up, and they should bring a legal action against Facebook to ensure that that kind of discrimination, that kind of unlevel playing field, does not happen again. I don't believe we lost the House in 2018 fair and square. I think we lost it because we lost control of the technology, and then the other issue that threatens the president's re-election. We have to have an honest election in which only people who are legally eligible to vote, vote. We here in Florida are at ground zero of this controversy. I was in Broward County when they were attempting to bring votes in the back door to bolster the totals of both the Democratic candidate for governor and the U.S. Senate, and calamity was very narrowly averted. I don't understand why the concept of a voter ID with a photograph is considered discriminatory or racist. We require a photo ID to get on an airplane. We require a photo ID to buy a pack of cigarettes. Why not a photo ID, which you can get by showing proof of citizenship, can be administered by the Department of Motor Vehicles, should be afforded to every citizen for free, so there's no question of cost, and it should be a requirement to vote. Now, I like to tell the story of one of my neighbors right there in Fort Lauderdale. Let's call him John Smith. Well, John decided to go vote in Broward County. He went to his precinct, and the nice lady at the table said, name. He said, John Smith. He said, your address. He said, 327 Coral Way. And she looked at the book and said, well, Mr. Smith, you've already voted. I said, no, I haven't. Yes, sir, you voted this morning. And she said, well, there's also a Myrtle Smith at your address. She also voted. And he said, really? That's my mother. She's been dead for 2 years. That is the quality that you see in our board elections. And I'm afraid this is endemic across the state. It is essential, again, the president instruct his Department of Justice to focus on the question of ballot integrity. Donald Trump can win with a boom economy, but he cannot win if the election is stolen from him. The folks at CNN, MSNBC, try to tell us that voter fraud does not exist. My friends, it does exist right here in Florida and across the country, and it must be averted to ensure the re-election of our president. Now, Scott alluded to my personal situation, and I must tell you, it has been very stressful. It's been very difficult, because as he said, the costs of lawyers to defend yourself is astronomical. I have a team of 4 excellent lawyers. They are all working for me at rates below what they would normally charge a white-collar case, in a white-collar case. They're enormously talented, and they literally are working around the clock to help fashion my defense. As I think most of you know, the government announced that they had turned over, at that point 3, I think it's now 4, terabytes of evidence to us. That's 450 million pages. If you stacked it up as paper, it would be the Washington Monument times 2. And the evidence against me is in there somewhere. It is enormously expensive. But in the meantime, I have, because of this enormous cost, and because of the all-consuming nature of this, 2 years of fake news pounding on me, saying that I would be indicted for Russian collusion, or treason, or conspiracy, has literally destroyed my ability to make a living. I have lost my home. I have lost my savings. I had a small fund put aside generated by the sale of my books that was supposed to go for the college education of my grandchildren. I had to liquidate it to pay my lawyers. We have lost most of our insurance. I am candidly having trouble keeping food on the table. I own no stocks, no bonds, no real estate. I was making a good living prior to this. But I make my living by speaking and writing. And of course, the things that people most want to pay me to speak and write about turn out to be the very things that I'm not allowed to talk about right now. It's just the way it is. So I have taken on an entrepreneurial spirit. First of all, I must tell you, in the beginning, I was angry, I was depressed, I was unsettled. But then, roughly 2 weeks ago, I had a moment of clarity when I realized that God had put me in this place for a reason. That God had placed me in this battle, was testing me for a reason. And that His will be done, and that I am merely God's instrument, as we all are, doing His will. I can tell you this, I will not change my plea. I will not plead guilty to a crime I did not commit. I will never turn my back on President Donald Trump. And I will go to court, tell the truth, and be vindicated. My trial will be epic and historic and colorful, but I cannot discuss the case as I do. The truth is, I think most of you saw it, when I was arrested, 29 FBI agents stormed my home. They were in full SWAT gear, carrying long weapons. There was a helicopter overhead. There were 17 armored vehicles. There were 2 amphibious units on the canal behind my house, and they delivered a search warrant, and they quite legally searched my house from top to bottom. The truth of the matter is that when I was arrested, I was wearing a t-shirt that said, "Roger Stone did nothing wrong." Yes, I had slept in it. Now, these t-shirts can be purchased outside. I have sold in excess of 10,000 of them. The profit goes to StoneDefenseFund.com. And then there's the story of this token. This is an official Roger Stone. I was selling these as a paperweight. It's a stone. The original one came from one of my neighbor's driveways. Of course, I have replaced that. And I've signed it. And I wasn't selling many, to be honest with you. And then Talking Points Memo, and Rolling Stone, and the Huffington Post, and New York Magazine mocked me for selling them. Ladies and gentlemen, I've sold almost 20,000 of these bits. They are $10 a piece, and they'll also be available after the program outside. And then I have, of course, my books, The Making of the President 2016. I think I'm happy to sign your copy. If we run out of books today, give us your address, and we will mail you your book. I think we may have enough, but if we fall short, I will promise you they will go out tomorrow. And I also have copies of my book, Stone's Rules, which is not really a political book, but more a book about the things I've learned about life. And whether you're in politics, or business, or law, or tech, or fashion, or agriculture, or entertainment, I think this book can be useful to anybody who wants to figure out how to live in a modern age. There's tips in there about business. There's tips in there about use of the internet. There's political information in the book that's not ideological but technical. But there's also my mother's recipe for the greatest marinara sauce you've ever had. I will be happy to sign books for you, or sign stones for you, or sell you one of these iconic Roger Stone Did Nothing Wrong t-shirts. If you buy a t-shirt, give it to your kids if you don't want it, or if you want it, that's fine. Take a picture of yourself wearing your t-shirt, send it to me by the internet, and I will post it on my Instagram page. I have posted hundreds of them. I'm anxious to post hundreds more. Now, Scott was not kidding. This is going to cost me, they now tell me, in excess of $2 million because of certain legal experts that will need to be employed in my case. And I'm grateful for the fact that to date, 42,000 Americans have stepped up and contributed to the Stone Legal Defense Fund. Thank you.